What is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, host of Set Point here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We are back with another one-on-one interview with an NCAA men's volleyball representative. And here with me, I have the Ohio State men's volleyball coach, Kevin Burch. How are you doing today, Kevin?
Doing great. How about you, Teran?
Doing good, and happy to have you on. Without any further delay, let us begin. So, your team wound up winning the MIVA tournament, as it was a pretty challenging tournament, as Lewis gave you a little battle, as well as Loyola and Lindenwood. What can you say about the MIVA this year and how pretty much it was just madness all over the place?
Yeah, I mean it's a heck of a conference. I mean, it kind of reminds me of my days at Irvine when we were in the MPSF. It was, mentally it's challenging because every match is a tough match, and every night it's a mental grind. So it toughens you up by this time of the year, that's for sure.
Yep. And then when you saw Lindenwood upset Ball State, how surprised were you when it came to that upset and how they pretty much shocked most people's and broke people's brackets?
I think Lindenwood honestly hasn't gotten enough credit this year for how good they are, and especially when they can stay in system. Holy smokes, watch out. I mean, I mean this. They can beat anybody if they're in system a lot. I mean, looking back through our match, they were in system a lot that first set, and so they were passing really well. And I think maybe it was Patrick Rogers out. I'm not really sure, but I think Ball State didn't put as much service pressure on them as they probably would have liked, and as much as they had earlier in the year. So, and combine that with the fact that Lindenwood passed really well. So, but again, they're off when they're in system. Their offense is as good as anybody in the country, and I mean it. They're legit.
Now, for your team, you've had your ups and downs, but you were able to overcome them and play your best volleyball when it truly mattered. Who stood out to your team in that final, and who else were some unsung heroes in that match and tournament?
Well, Cole Young's the first to jump to my mind. I mean, the way he blocked down the stretch, I think he finished with 8 total blocks in the match. I would be willing to bet that he probably had 6 of those in the last set and a half. So he certainly, dominated down the stretch when we needed him most. I think Michael Wright obviously stepped up and did a lot of great things. I think we've had a unique setting position, which with Noah Platfoot and Michael Wright, 2 guys that both have over 2,000 assists. And to see Noah come in and get 6 critical service points in that 4th set to open it wide open was pretty cool to see. Tommy Poole is an unsung hero. He's a guy that doesn't get nearly enough credit for the job that he does, anchoring our defense and serve receive. So, honestly, I could go on and on. We've got a lot of guys that do a lot of big things for this team and don't get enough credit.
And now, throughout the entire season, you've been challenged by a lot of really good teams like UCLA, USC, Penn State. Do you think those non-conference matches led up to you all having success in the MIVA and eventually winning the whole conference tournament?
For sure. I mean, I think beating teams like that this year has given us a lot of confidence, and it helps us understand that, hey, when we need it most, we can be a pretty dang good team. And I like, as a coach, I think I would have liked us to be a little more consistent throughout the year. I think, to your point, we had some ups and downs and some things that were outside of our control. But, again, I think the confidence that we earned with those non-conference matches really helped us get through that and really helped us be at our best down the stretch.
And then Jacob Pastor, everyone seems to zone in on Jacob Pastor or try to slow him down. Did you all plan for that? And did you all have other pin hitters ready and willing to take the pressure off of Jacob?
Yeah, and I mean, Jacob's a heck of a player, and understandably, teams really do key on him. And I thought he did a really good job throughout the playoffs of being steady. He didn't have a match where he hit 800. He didn't have a match where he hit negative or under 200. He was really steady, worked through some errors really well. Team stopped him, and he did a really good job of responding. But also to have Shane play the way he did takes a lot of pressure off Jacob. And I think that was critical for our success, Tooney as well. So again, it's just those guys, those other pins, when they play well, it certainly takes some pressure off of Jacob.
And then winning the MIVA tournament for the second straight year. How big is that for your team, knowing that it's one of the more competitive tournaments and you play in one of the most mind boggling and eye opening conferences?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly gives us confidence going to the NCAA's. That's for sure. I mean, we know that we're battle tested. We know that we've had to beat some really really good teams just to get here. You know, it's not every year you end a Lewis and Loyola season, which we're extremely, those are great teams that we take a lot of pride in beating when it matters most. So again, I think that all gives us confidence going in the toughest test of the year with with the NCAA tournament.
Jumping on into the NCAA tournament, your team draws Grand Canyon, who pulled off a monstrous upset over UCLA. Have you seen some film on them, and what will it take down the Lopes?
Well, I think it's going to take a lot of good passing. They're a great serving team that's efficient. They bring a lot of heat and constant pressure, so they're always in a match. You know, they can be down 5 points, but they're always capable of going on long runs. So, we have to be steady ourselves, and again, I think we have to be able to punch back, with our serve and be able to take it to them as well. But certainly, our passing is going to be a critical component of the match. And then blocking. They're a heck of a team. They can beat you at any different spot. All three pin hitters are dangerous. Both middles are dangerous. Slight is an unbelievable setter, probably, if not the best setter in the country, certainly top 2 or 3. So, they're a team that threatens you at every single spot and every single rally with every single skill. So it's certainly not going to be an easy match for us. But again, if I think if we can play as tough as we have the last few matches and can serve tough and hold up and serve receive, I think we got as good a chance against anybody.
Now, you being from California, how special will it be to have? How special will it be to be back in California, where you pretty much grew up and played volleyball and whatnot?
It's extremely special. We the way the NCAA tournament works, you can't practice there 2 days before the tournament, so it'll actually be kind of a cool opportunity. We're actually gonna be practicing at OCC on Sunday afternoon, which will be fun. Where I played, and so to be able to run it back and see Travis and get to experience, obviously the area where I grew up is going to be extremely special. To be able to have my family in the stands and see coaches that I started my career with, and see a lot of just friends and family will be awesome. I know the same thing for Justin Howard. He's excited to get back home and take on these teams with family and friends in the stands.
Yes, Justin Howard, if I recall correctly, he is from Pacific Palisades in the Los Angeles area.
Yes, sir. Played for Pac-6.
So you mentioned Orange Coast College and Travis Turner. So how much of an influence did Travis Turner make on you when it came to being a coach, and how did Travis help you become the coach that you are?
Oh man, I could go on forever. I mean, simply put, I wouldn't be here without Travis. And there's so many different reasons why. I actually started up Balboa right when I started coaching. Actually quit after my first season, wanted to go a different option for career, and then he and Rich were the ones that brought me back and encouraged me to come back, and the rest is kind of history. But he's also the one that encouraged me to come play at OCC. He's the one that helped me get to Ohio State. He's the one that's helped me a ton through how I coach, shape my philosophy, what's important, my priorities. He's the real deal. He's an amazing coach and amazing mentor, even better friend and even better person.
And as of this recording, the Pirates are making their 9th straight semifinal appearance in the 3C2A state championship. So
he's like the John Wooden of California Community College men's volleyball. I mean, he's like, what, 19-0 right now, 18-0. There's winning championships left and right. It's pretty awesome to see.
Indeed, 18-0, and they are the back-to-back state champions. But moving on from that, so anything else that your team is going to be doing in California, as most of them aren't really from that area and whatnot?
I think they'll be soaking up the sunshine as much as they can without getting sunburned. I think that's going to be the key. But no, I think this is a business trip for us. We obviously want to earn our fun and enjoy our experience, but we have a chance. We firmly believe we have a great shot to win a national title this year, and every aspect of this trip will be geared towards giving ourselves the best chance to do that.
Teran Rodriguez here of iSports Radio, host of Set Point with Kevin Burch, head coach of the Ohio State men's volleyball team. It's a few more questions and then I'll let you go. So, how much respect do you have for all of these coaches that continue to put in the work and continue to grow, like the Grand Canyons and the Fort Valley States, the Belmont Abbeys, and so on and so forth?
Ton. I mean, Worley's done an incredible job at Grand Canyon. I mean, that program has, this it only started, I want to say, like, what, 12 years ago, something like that. When he got the job to where they are now, it's he has a lot to be proud of as a head coach, that and leader of that program. He's recruited extremely well. He's developed talent extremely well. He's obviously a very intelligent guy that is a great leader, and I have a ton of respect for him. Belmont, I mean, all those, Larry at Fort Valley. I mean, those guys aren't, fully funded. They don't have a ton of resources. They don't have a lot of, the stuff that, the things that we have, we're fortunate enough to have here at Ohio State or Penn State, UCLA, in other places, and they still find ways to be successful and win and grow. And so I think they have some of the harder jobs in this profession, and they just find ways to get the job done, and it's extremely impressive. And the amount of respect I have for them just continues to grow and grow every year.
Now, looking at this season, what do you think was the turning point of your season throughout the entirety? Like, it could be anything. It could be before conference, the beginning of the year. What was the turning point of the season for you all?
I think there was one turning point. It probably would have been our 3-set loss at Fort Wayne. We talked in the locker room, and, we acknowledged that it sucked, that it stung, that it wasn't a fun way to lose, that it, wasn't a great feeling, but, that we could use that to our advantage and look back and, at the end of the year and be glad that it happened, that we learned as much as we could from it, that it spurred some motivation and growth, or we could just continue to stay bitter and not make changes that we needed to make. And I certainly think, after that, we came out, went to Ball State, beat them in 3 without Jacob. And that really, I think, spurred our growth and development from there. We only had 1 loss after that match. And, I think it shows a lot of our guys' ability to learn and be persistent and be tough and be at their best after a loss like that. It's not easy to do.
Excellent stuff right there. So, continuing on with the theme of coaches, talk to us about your coaching staff and how they've helped you pave the way for back-to-back NCAA men's volleyball trips to the tournament.
Man, I can't say enough. I mean, Luke is really at the forefront of our defense and scouting reports, our defensive development, and certainly as you go throughout this year alone, you can see the benefit and the growth that we've had defensively. Each year, we've gotten better and better defensively, and Cole Young is a really good example of that, looking at his blocking numbers each year, but especially as this year has gone on. He's been an impressive player for us, but as a team, they have a ton of trust in him defensively. I have a ton of trust in him defensively. When it comes to, opposing teams' timeouts, I have no problem letting him take over the defensive huddle and letting him run it, because he's proven to be a very successful defensive coach. Hudson's been unreal on the offensive end. Obviously our offensive numbers speak for themselves. He's been, I think, the best recruiter in the country, certainly one of the top 3, and has really laid the groundwork for our program's current success and future success.
And then obviously there's been a lot of, I wouldn't say parity, but a lot of teams going through ups and downs and a lot of good teams here and there. Like, how does your team stick out, and what has been the key to sticking out like a rose in a garden?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. We always talk about, the regular season champion or even the top conference tournament champion is always going to come down to the team that does the best on the road. And we weren't always great on the road this year in conference, but I think we were able to obviously win 2 matches on a neutral court, at least in Muncie, and we did win some big ones. McKendree being one of them. I mean, McKendree at home swept Lewis. They swept Loyola. They swept Ball State all at home. And so, we went in that match. I think they were 10-1 at home. We were able to get a big win in 5, and that was huge. I think that was a good way to show and build toughness within our program. But again, being able to beat your best when you have a lot of distractions, whether it be an opposing crowd, whether it be an opposing team playing at their best, you name it. Being able to deal with those distractions and be able to stay focused on the task at hand is huge. And think that's something that we've continued to get better at as the season's gone on, and something we're going to need, in the NCAA tournament.
Teran Rodriguez of OATIIZ Sports Radio, host of Set Point, here with Ohio State men's volleyball coach Kevin Burch. Just 3 more questions, then I'll let you go. I know the season isn't over for you all, but what will you miss about this year's senior class, and what have been some fondful memories that you've had with the senior class?
Oh man, this is a special class. This is the first class that I've had as a head coach from year 1 to now year 5. Man, there's a lot of good leaders. There's a lot of personal growth within that group. They've been through COVID. They've been through losing or 500 seasons that we all felt we underachieved and didn't accomplish what we wanted to. There's I think on senior night at our senior banquet, I mentioned that one of the stats that really stood out to me was they started their first 2 years 21-18. And since then, I believe we're now 42-18. So I think it just shows you their level of growth, and how they've been able to persevere through some unsuccessful years. I think that's, if it's not the hardest thing to do in sports as a team, I think it's certainly one of them. To be able to go from a losing team to a winning team with the same group is a pretty special accomplishment that they can hold on to, and something that nobody can take away from them.
All right, now this one's going to be a little bit of a fill in the blank question. Ohio State wins the national championship if they blank.
Serve it well. I think serving is the great equalizer in our sport, and I think we're as good of a team talent-wise as anybody out there. If we serve well, I'm not sure anybody can touch us, but I think it's something that we'll have to be consistent with, and really take it to the teams that we play this weekend or next week.
And then the last question for you, and then I'll let you go. Obviously, getting better is crucial, and getting 1% better means you're definitely getting better. What could I, as well as you and everyone else, do to help make NCAA men's volleyball grow and be more noticeable, and men's volleyball and boys volleyball in general?
Well, I think people like you and Vinny do an incredible job of promoting our game and promoting our sport at the highest level, when there's not much return in it for you. There's not a whole lot of financial return for you guys, but you guys do a heck of a job working your butt off to do things like this that really show and highlight our game. And we're extremely lucky to have you guys, because if it wasn't for you, I mean, you can only imagine, how little coverage that we would get and how little publicity we would get. But having people like you really makes a difference. It really grows our sport at the highest level. And I think just keep doing what you're doing and try to bring more people along with you, because it certainly makes a big difference.
Well, I appreciate that, Kevin. I'll definitely continue my best to grow the game of NCAA men's volleyball. And then one last thing, do you have any other shout outs or thank yous you want to give out to anybody or anyone?
It's endless. My wife is amazing. I'm lucky to have her. She was actually in Muncie with us for the full 4 days, working remotely and just supporting and being there with us. Obviously my family, great coaches that have helped me get here. Charlie Sullivan, Travis Turner, obviously is a no doubter. Pete Hansen, Russ Rose, those guys are, play a big role. But again, it's the players. Our guys are a really special group. They've earned the right to be in this tournament and to compete in this tournament. And I couldn't be happier and feel luckier to be along this ride with them, and looking forward to see what they can do come next Tuesday.
Well, Kevin, thank you very much for your time. Always great connecting with you. He's Kevin Burch. I'm Teran Rodriguez, and this is another interview with an NCAA men's volleyball tournament representative.